The at times pronounced political hope of Israel can be seen as a type of the New Testament spiritual hope in heaven that is here but not yet in its fullness. For Jesus says both that the kingdom of God is in your midst and my kingship is not of this world, Luke 17 and John 18. The fullness of the kingdom of God will only occur when all of created reality is transformed fully by God into a new heaven and a new earth, Revelation 21:1, where Christ is all and in all, Colossians 3:11. Mary is the human person who anticipates this perfected time when heaven and earth will kiss and all earthly realities will be taken up by heavenly reality and transformed perfectly without spot or wrinkle. Ephesians 5:27. Mary is, John Paul II teaches, I quote, a type of the church, not an imperfect prefiguration, but as the spiritual fullness. Mary is prefigured in the Book of Kings, principally in Solomon's mother Bathsheba, who was a queen mother. As explained by Hahn, because powerful men in West Asia often had many wives, it was difficult to choose one of the women to be the queen, since this choice could lead to unwanted conflicts. This was even more the case when kings married various women for political reasons. To eliminate this source of conflict, a custom arose that recognized the mother of the king as queen. An important example of a queen mother, Geberah in Hebrew, in the Book of Kings is Bathsheba, mother of Solomon. As queen mother, Bathsheba was entitled to sit on a throne to the right of her son. In that position, she offered advice to her son and interceded for people to her powerful son. 1 Kings 2, Psalm 45, Proverbs 31. As the fulfillment of Bathsheba and the fulfillment of all queen mothers, Mary intercedes for all people to her Son, our heavenly King, who in his infinite patient mercy listens to his queen mother Mary. New Testament indications of Mary's status as queen mother to Jesus are, points out Petrie, Mary's older cousin Elizabeth, greeting her as the mother of my Lord, Luke 1:43. The Marian woman figure in Revelation chapter 12, who is crowned with 12 stars, representing the 12 tribes of Israel and the new Israel of the 12 apostles. The distinction between Mary as queen and Jesus as king was clearly maintained in early Catholic veneration of Mary, explains Petrie, but only offering sacrifices to God in adoration and never to Mary. And if this occurred, such idolatrous practices was condemned. To understand how Jesus, as king, relates to the time of the kings, especially to King David and King Solomon, it is necessary to know with greater precision the meaning of covenant. As well explained by Benedict XVI, when using the term covenant, it is important to acknowledge that in Romans, I quote, Paul does not speak of the covenant, but of covenants, plural. Benedict XVI further adds that, I quote, for the Old Testament, covenant is a dynamic reality that is concretized in an unfolding series of covenants. The various forms of implicit and explicit covenants include God's covenants with creation, with Adam, with Noah, with Abraham, with Moses, with Jacob, Israel, and with David. None of these covenants are exact duplicates of preceding covenants. Rather, there is both continuity and change, or more precisely, development. For example, as Bergsma and Petrie show, the Mosaic and the Davidic covenant are in continuity with one another in a way that is, I quote, complementary rather than contradictory, even though there are many important differences, including the location where the two covenants were made, Sinai versus Zion, the dominant type of sacrifice, burnt offering versus thanksgiving offering, type of instruction, law versus wisdom, and type of nation, national versus international. The explanation for these differences are clearly seen when both the Mosaic covenant and the Davidic covenant are viewed in relationship to Jesus, who fulfills the Old Testament covenants by being present with us as Emmanuel in this ever-changing world, represented, comments Aquinas, by the movable tabernacle, and as being our final destiny represented by the stability of Solomon's temple. Jesus also fulfills both covenants by offering himself totally, like the Mosaic burnt offerings, on the cross, and by giving us the Eucharist, by which we thank God for having given us his only begotten Son. Christ also is both transcendent law, by being the eternally spoken word of the Father, and is immanent practical wisdom, by being born in time. Finally, Jesus' kingdom is both a national kingdom and an international kingdom. Jesus' establishment of the 12 apostles, and consequently a college of bishops and their associated local churches, represents the national dimension of the church in continuity with the Mosaic nation, and is international due to the Pope, successor of Peter and vicar of Christ, who through Christ integrates all national expressions of Catholicism into one international church in whom all are invited to salvation.